Hi, YouTube. That was a very dramatic head turn. Welcome to the serial viewing pre-show.
We've got to remember to speak in that
Got
direction.
to remember to speak in this direction. Well, that's why I did my dramatic turn.
Mm-hmm.
You know I'm going to forget.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how to get around it though. I'm kind of wedged into a corner here with this mic. I need to get one of those arms so we can like.
Yeah, you mean like one of these?
Yeah. Well, yeah, all I can see is you going. But yes, I need one of those arms.
I have an arm.
It can bring it down and speak into it properly. Maybe for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe for Christmas. Well, sorry, YouTube. We've actually we've set up already, so you've missed us punching microphones.
Hang on.
You've missed us being very unprofessional.
I'm unprofessional. I haven't set up anything yet.
Oh. Have you been watching any shows this week, YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
Well, we told you that we were doing Battle of the Planets this week, so you've watched that one, right?
Let us know.
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Someone disliked our video, YouTube. One of our videos. I'm personally wounded.
We know it was you, YouTube.
Yeah, I know it was you. You watching this. Just because you didn't agree. It's fine.
Oh, I don't want to do that yet. No, go away. Stop.
Although that video is our most watched video.
Is it?
Yes. Over, I think it's on
Probably because no one remembers Where's Gamish.
I think it's from people that do remember it.
Maybe.
And that hideous, freakish face. It's worse than mine. Dun, dun, dun,
I don't know.
dun, dun, dun. Right. Jeremiah. Are you ready?
Sure.
That was less than convincing.
I'm tired, okay?
Yeah, me too. Right, I need to crack on. Right, I'm going to start recording audio. Do you want to clap?
I'm not recording any audio yet.
This always goes really well.
Okay, whatever. Go. 3, 2, 1. So delayed on mine, but whatever.
It always sounds fine on mine. It's weird.
It's fine.
All right. Okay, so if you're ready and I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. I will start the music. Start the music, sorry. I was looking in the wrong direction. Hang on, sorry. I need to do that again. That just blew my head off. Jesus.
Turn your audio down.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Okay, let's try that again. Sorry. Hello and welcome to Serial Viewing, the podcast that looks back in time to look at the TV shows that you probably once loved, never heard of, or really, really hated. We're going to go back and find out if they're as good or as bad as we remember. This time we are watching Battle of the Planets, Season 1, Episode 2, Rescue of the Astronauts. Battle of the Planets ran for an extended 85-episode series from 1978 to 1980. And it saw 5 young people known as G-Force, consisting of Mark, Jason, Princess, Keop, and Tiny. G-Force protects Earth from the planet Spectra and other attacks from beyond space. In this episode, astronauts are kidnapped by the bad guys after they unknowingly discover the locations of enemy bases on Mars. This information is on a cassette which G-Force have to recover from an undersea base. It's so exciting. With me always is Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy.
I was waiting for my introduction.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to introduce you. Hello, Jeremy, sorry. I'm so excited about Battle of the Planets. I just couldn't.
Oh, you should be.
I couldn't stand it. So, have you heard of Battle of the Planets? Is this new to you?
Heard of it, Battle of the Planets, from you.
From me.
Never watched it. I thought, okay, so originally I'd thought Battle of the Planets was something like Gallagher or Space Invaders or something like that, and had been like a TV show about it. I knew it was a cartoon, but with that theme song.
Gonna get to that.
I knew that.
Very,
And that's
very.
all I knew.
It's one of those shows that people of a certain age, my age, all know, especially the boys, because it's awesome. We'll go right into it. The theme tune, that dun, 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 dun. I loved it. I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed. Right, how much I enjoyed the theme tune. Wasn't so enamoured with the visuals that went with it.
Yes. I wrote that down specifically. I said the theme song, pretty iconic. It's very very catchy, very in your face. It's no holds barred. It's good.
And the voiceover is good. You get a whole story.
Battle of the Planets.
It's a great introduction, with
It is
the obligatory Japanese panty shot of Princess as she dives straight in there. She's the second person you see. You see Mark, the leader, leaping through the air, and then Bosch panty shot as she leaps after him.
It's not even that. I mean, like, the whole thing was just really redundant and dumb. The intro. There's a lot of just boring, basic animation. It didn't really introduce any of the characters properly. I mean, it says all their names.
Yep.
But it doesn't show you them or anything, and it doesn't show you, like, previously in Battle of the Planets, or it doesn't show you clips from the actual show. It just shows you random-ass shots of the spaceship, space, the team doing this weird pyramid, and flying through the air.
That's one of their special moves.
They didn't use it.
One of the big things, but we ought to get through this early, because one of the big things about this show is that Battle of the Planets is based on a Japanese TV show called Gatchaman, which was released in the early 70s, 72 I think it was, and then was purchased and brought to the Western audience and was butchered. It was heavily, heavily butchered. They took all kinds of stuff out. They rewrote parts. They just threw different stories on top of it. And I think the credits kind of reflect that, because they are, you're right, it's all just random images. Although that spinny thing is one of their special moves. We didn't see that in the episode we watched, but it is one of their special moves.
That's actually one of their moves.
It is, yeah. They all kind of get to this pyramid and do this big swirly thing, and the bad guys get thrown around.
Well, I wasn't impressed by the opening theme. Not the theme song. The theme itself. The intro.
The intro. Okay, so the opening credits music, there's a lot of music in Battle of the Planets.
Yeah,
they really crammed in a lot of the music, but it's the best piece of music in the whole show. And it's because the rest of the music in the whole episode, it's just weird, random stuff.
It's very random.
You've got you get this really weird 70s disco music, and then it cuts into a battle scene which is really really heavy, and then you're back to some weird folk music, and then bosh, we're back at the disco again.
My favorite is the Miami Vice, the kind of like...
Yes! I think that might have been one of the fight music.
Yeah. Aye.
So what did you think of the animation? It is from the early 70s, and it is from, I think, the prime of Japanese anime.
Having been an anime weeb in my younger years, I wouldn't know if 70s is that much prime. It's definitely very, very a lot of good stuff, I guess, came out of the 70s. A lot of iconic stuff. But I think with regards to the good animation, there are some bits that are really good and some bits that are just not. The humans themselves are terrible. Their body movements and their actions are fine, but everything expressionable or anything specific about the characters, like their faces or their hair or anything like that, really, really bad.
Some of the faces they pull are fantastic.
I know.
There's a bit where Mark, probably about two-thirds... Yeah, there's a bit about two-thirds where Mark, the leader, is, Princess turns up and says something, and he just kind of goes... And the camera just zooms in on his face, and he's there gurning.
But he's supposed to be smiling.
Yeah.
I think.
So we've got
it happens to all of them.
We've got Mark, the long-haired. He looks like he's like from a 18-year-old British pop band from the 60s or 70s.
Yeah.
So he's the leader. He's the most dynamic one. He easily gets the most lines, apart from someone else, but we'll get to them. You've got Princess, which is the most. Really, that's the best they could come up with for the female character.
Itsy pink goose.
She's a duck. I think she's supposed to be a swan, but every time I look at it, she looks.
Yeah.
All I could see was a duck.
It is a duck or a goose.
You've got Jason,
Honestly.
who's the edgy. He's the edgy emo one who just seems to be in a bad mood.
I think he's had one line throughout the whole
Yeah,
thing.
he didn't have a lot to do in this one. Tiny, who is ironically he's the big guy. And he talks like he's about not very clever. And Keop, who, frankly, if they'd fired him into the sun, it wouldn't have bothered me at all.
I don't know why kids shows have the need for this incessant usage of irritating characters.
It's so annoying. If you
They're
haven't,
not funny.
no, if you haven't watched it, Keop is this little skinny one, and he makes this kind of like bird whistle noise, and then
He's
just
like
says,
a monkey.
"Yeah, it's I don't know. I can't. I'm not going to try and do it because but it's like, and then he says something, and it's just, and he does it through the whole episode, and it's just random crap. Like, please stop doing that. Somebody just shut him up.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is a reason he talks like that. Apparently, the in-story explanation for his unique manner of speech is that he's actually an artificial life form with a speech impediment because of slightly defective genetic engineering. I don't think that's ever mentioned in any episode. It's just one of those things that they just... Yeah.
That seems a little progressive and dark for a kids' anime show. Well, not one in Japanese, but one that they're going to redo for Western. It does.
So I said that Mark had the most lines, apart from one other character, and that is easily Seven's Arc 7. And one of my first notes is Seven's Arc 7 sucks.
So someone took R2D2, made him a little camp, and and made him just like this sort of narrator. That there's a reason R2D2 doesn't have a voice.
Yes,
and it makes life so much better. Like the fact that Seven's Arc 7 has a voice was just a horrible miscalculation.
Well, like I said, when it went to the American audience, they absolutely butchered it. They pulled it apart and they animated the bits with Seven's Arc 7 and one Rover 1. We'll get to him. Seven's Arc 7. So he was the continuity. He tied all the stories together. He provided information, so you get from this scene to the other one, and he was done deliberately because this came out in '77 in the States. So 77 was when the first Star Wars movie came out, and this was deliberately planned to look as much like as Star Wars as could. The theme tune echoes it. The credits, when it says Battle of the Planets, it looks like it's scrolling up the screen. It's this big monumental thing. So they put an R2D2 in it, who at one point wears a little cape and a helmet and kind of flies across the control room for, reasons.
I wrote that down. I wrote why is he wearing a cape now? Why is he wearing a bird costume? This is just sad.
So I used to watch this when I was quite young, and even back then, I didn't know what the hell was going on, but I didn't like him. He was just too obviously pandering to me, and it annoyed me as a child.
Slightly patronising, I reckon.
Yes, yeah, that's an excellent way of putting it. He was, and then one Rover 1, because we can't just have one comedic character. He's got to have a pet. Who just kind of
self-aware character
yips. Okay, so in this episode, the astronauts they've got to go rescue these astronauts. So Seven's Arc 7 explains that the Phoenix, ships like the Phoenix in this day, they can travel millions of light years in just a couple of days, and they've got this really advanced technology. But for short journeys, like from the moon down to the Earth, they still use the traditional methods with the re-entry pod. Why? What on?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't.
He said they could travel millions of light years into space, but they still use it for home system travel. Again, why?
Yeah, it just seems unnecessarily dangerous.
Inefficient and dangerous, and it makes no sense.
It was almost like they just had some footage of some astronauts and they wanted to put it in there.
Could be.
Did you pick up that one of the astronauts was Casey Kasem? Do you know who Casey Kasem is?
Perhaps.
You don't know.
You tell me who Casey Kasem is, and I'll agree.
Was huge in the 70s. He was a big TV personality in the States, but he was a DJ. He had his own shows. He did voiceovers for Scooby-Doo. He was in Scooby-Doo. He was a big name. The only thing I think you'll know him from is that he's a radio host in the original Ghostbusters movie. Who's doing it when they're all running around in New York and they're doing that "We're Busy" montage. He's there, and the four guys fought the pesky poltergeist and then stayed to boogie the night away. That's Casey Kasem.
Oh, he's a news reporter.
Yes, yeah. Well, he's on the radio. He was on the radio, and as soon as his voice came out of one of the astronauts, I was like, that's Casey Kasem. And I was really surprised because I didn't remember that. Anyway, so
wow,
the astronauts come down. And they land in the water, and then these bad guy spaceships grab them because they've discovered all of their location of the secret bases. And that's the last time, despite this is supposed to be a rescue mission, that's the last time we see the astronauts.
Yeah, those specific astronauts. I want to talk about that intro for a couple of reasons. It's got the best quote in it in the entire show. And I think the entire thing of serial viewing from a actual TV show, and that would be, give us a wigwag and we'll be happy to help you splash down.
Yes! That is the best line of the show, easily.
It's a fantastic line, and I'm so glad they put that in.
That was the ground control talking to the astronauts, wasn't it, when they were coming down?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
yeah, it was fantastic. But also, they animated in what looked like to be oil leaking into or pollution or something, or fuel leaking into the ocean.
I saw that, and my immediate thought was, why is that spaceship pissing in the water?
Well, yeah.
But it's not.
It looks like that.
That's a real thing. When those pods land,
it
they let dye out so the helicopters can find them. But it did look really odd.
Yeah. Oh, it's dye. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that. I thought it was fuel that was leaking into the ocean, and there was going to be like some sort of pollution, that they were being self-aware but not in a good way.
That's a good point, because that is a real thing. But it seems like a odd detail.
Yeah.
To put into this, I mean, can you just have them splash down and they get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Anyway, yes, but we never see them again.
No, which is quite a lot, I think. Because, G-Force infiltrates the enemy underwater base. There's a big fight. And then one of the characters, I think Mark says to Keop, turns around and says, right, get the astronauts and then let's meet us at the base. And then you see an image of just the two of them swimming away.
Yes.
The base blows up. And then Seven's Arc 7 goes, oh, Mark and Keop and the two astronauts are swimming away.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Yeah, no.
They're not there.
And then Mark and Keop.
And then he gets in the ship and Jason says to Mark, oh, where are the astronauts? Oh, they're in Med Bay. Are they? I think you've just murdered them.
You've just said they've done the boys, and they're just so that they've gone down and they couldn't rescue them. It wasn't logical to do that.
So yeah. And then the tech in the whole show, it's like they're trying to make everything look as futuristic as possible, but they still use re-entry pods. The information the bad guys had is on a cassette. Really? The bad guy turns to the things. Oh, give me a readout on that. and out punches this punch card.
That faxes him out.
Oh yeah, They can travel millions of miles in a day, but they're still using punch card readouts.
I'll fax it to you.
Yeah, the pigeon will be there
yeah.
with the plan soon.
Yeah. And also Mark's ship. I know it transforms into another plane, but it's a chipmunk.
That just seemed really unnecessary.
Yeah, propeller.
That bit, yeah, because at the beginning,
plane.
Mark leaps in. He gets a call to go meet the rest of G-Force, who are already on the ship and on their way, and he runs out, jumps into this little prop-driven aircraft, takes off, does his whole transmute thing, and suddenly it's a jet, and then he lands and they get on with it. You could have really cut that out and left some more of the story in there.
I guess that the plane might be a good way of him hiding his alter ego.
I don't know if they have alter egos. I don't know. I don't know if everyone knows that they're G-Force.
I mean, they use their first names.
Oh, and the fact that everyone is wearing flares.
Yeah,
flared trousers. It's amazing. I love it.
White flares.
Yeah. Even the bad guys. The bad guys, soldiers. Their armor, their legs, the armor on their legs was flared. That was brilliant.
Yep.
Loved it. And there are not enough modern cartoons where the characters have mustaches. And I think they need to bring that back, because the astronauts had mustaches, and then a guy one of the experts they talked to, he had a mustache. Perfectly animated. Looked fantastic. Love it.
We should keep a serial viewing mustache count.
Mustache count. Well, there you go. That's one.
So Battle Planets has got the mustache tick.
So
there was a bit when Mark was getting ready to head over. He was like on his day off or whatever, I think is what he said. But he was playing with a turtle, and it's like this big. But he was just playing with it, and then like he got the thing from Seven's Arc 7, and then he just goes like this, and then the turtle just disappears.
he just
forever.
He just yeeted it over his shoulder. Done with you. I mean,
G-Force, the most destructive.
And for a show that I think they were like hour-long episodes, and they cut them down to about 25 minutes. And for shows that they took a lot out to get a coherent story, there was a lot of pointless stuff in it. Like, you've only got this much time. Put good stuff in it. Make stuff that actually makes sense. Because there's a bit where Seven of Arc 7 is, right, you need to go help them. They can't find the base. And he goes, oh, blah, 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 blah. Try your infrared laser listening device. And they go, okay, we'll try that. And then swoosh. Oh, and on the ship, they go swoosh. And there's the base. Well, can we have less crap like that and more actual story?
Speaking of needless crap, the whole middle section where Seven's Arc 7 was sleeping, I assume it was after the commercial break.
Oh.
And he speaks to One Rover One and also Susan, the receptionist.
The fuck was Susan? That I was really
feels so human.
That was so disturbing. I didn't like it. It made me feel a bit weird. So I'm watching robots flirt, and he's like,
it seemed almost like creepy, and he was like, oh, I can meet you in your office or my office or a hallway somewhere.
It managed to sound both consensual and non-consensual at the same time.
Calm down, Seven's Arc 7. We know it's been a while.
I hate Seven's Arc 7 so much. I mean, the rest of the show, even with the bits chopped out of it, I enjoyed. I'll say this now, I liked Battle of the Planets. But Seven's Arc 7, I hate him. He's awful. Why did he have a cape? Why did he have a little hat? Why has he got a dog?
I feel like they did mess around with it too much. But the whole premise, like trying to tie the story together with a narrator, is okay. I understand that. I mean, obviously, if it was a good story to begin with, they wouldn't need it.
They could have done it better.
Yeah, they could have made Seven's Arc 7 less irritating.
I would have. I mean, I know it's a blatant ploy for the Star Wars crowd, but I would have appreciated. You know, the narrator at the beginning, where he's all like "seven, blah 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 blah." If it just his voice, just explaining over a ship, a shot of the ship flying, just explaining what's going on, I would have preferred that to Seven's Arc 7.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Super Friends.
Yes, that kind of crap. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Right, so In a bit of history on it, in April 1977, a chap called Sandy Frank attended the MIP TV conference in Cannes, France.
Right.
It was there that he first heard about this Japanese animation show called Gatchaman from producer Tatsunoko Production, run by the Yoshida brothers. I'm assume people know who that is. He agreed to release the series in the US after he saw the success of Star Wars in May of that year. He authorised new footage, as we said. He hired writers to add dialogue to fit the look of the animation without actually taking into account any of the story, which is where it came from. It was based on a show called, its full name was Science Ninja Team Gatchaman. And I really like it. I've never seen it, but I have because it's this. But I really like the idea of science ninjas. Ninjas leaping out behind bushes with Bunsen burners and beakers. Ha! That would be great. I wonder what
Gatchaman stands for. Is it perhaps bird people?
It could be. Yeah, that seemed a bit arbitrary, why they were birds.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Yeah. That didn't really make a lot of sense to me either.
So there were originally 105 Gatchaman episodes, which they cut down to 85, and I think they literally cut it down. They chopped up the ones they didn't use as fillers for the other one.
Yes. So they shortened the actual episodes, but instead of doing the smart thing and money making thing in doubling up the episodes, instead they just they cannibalized multiple episodes for one thing.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, it was successful.
Still is incoherent.
It was successful. Why didn't you just, as you say, just take one episode, cut it in half, and make 2 episodes?
Yeah.
Next week on Battle of the Planets. Apparently, somehow, it was generally faithful to the plot and the character development, but some of the stuff they took out was specifically to appease the North American market. They were trying to avoid controversy from parents, so they took out... There was actually graphic violence in the original, which I think this could have benefited from. Profanity, some fairly dark deaths. There were no obvious deaths in this. And it was... Gatchaman is still around, or it was still around. It was reworked in 86 in the US. So they took Battle of the Planets, they took the original, and then they redid it as G-Force Guardians of Space, which was a lot more faithful than Battle of the Planets was.
I haven't watched them, but I've seen the pop-up episodes of that.
New voice acting,
Guardians of Space,
new music.
It's a whole new show.
Yeah, it was. I mean, but it was what what Battle of the Planets should have been. But weirdly, it was heavily criticised by fans that both liked Gatchaman and Battle of the Planets.
When did that come out?
That was 86.
So we've got to do that too.
Yeah, yeah, we probably should actually.
Yeah, we should do a comparison episode.
And just to confuse, so there are different generations that will know different versions of this show. Mm-hmm. So I remember the Battle of the Planets. People around in 86 will know G-Force, and then there were 2 follow-up series, Gatchaman 2 and Gatchaman Fighter. They were then combined into another 65 episodes and released as a show called Eagle Riders. It was released originally in Australia, and then it had a limited run. There was only like 13 episodes in the States. So there are people who remember this as Eagle Riders as well. So depending on where you are in the world and what year it is.
What? G-Force. What? Eagle Riders. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No. Gatchaman. Oh, yeah. The original. Yeah. Very strange.
Honestly. Yeah.
So we've spoken a bit about some of the stuff they removed. And this show is guilty of something that always annoys me in children's shows. So Mark goes into the bad guy's base, right? And he gets caught and he starts jumping around and he's punching the bad guys and he's messing their day up. He's ruining the day. They've all got guns.
Yeah.
At one point, he's literally standing in front of two of them, and they've got what look like submachine guns pointing at him. Just shoot him.
Yeah,
but no.
Just remove the guns if you don't want them to shoot him.
So he's bouncing around, and the bad guy, who's I don't know, remember his name. He goes, blah 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 blah. Get the drill, and this giant articulated drill arm starts trying to stab him.
The drill.
Just shoot him. He's right there. There's like a dozen.
It always happens.
No, get the drill. Oh no! How did you get away? Because you haven't shot him. If you don't want to kill him, shoot him in the leg.
As well, when they captured him, they well, I mean, before then there was that scene where the hook, for some reason they threw a hook in him too, and
the drill's not working. Throw the hook. That's not working. I've got this flour sack. Throw that.
But then he does this weird Tarzan roll.
I wrote on my notes, Tarzan, because he does. Yeah. He swings the chain and does the whole. Oh.
Yeah, and then but then he immediately gives up, which is obviously his plan. But
yeah,
he's just
plan.
Like, and then but then the bad guy, why didn't they just shoot him or send him out into the crushing depths of the ocean or something? He's your arch enemy.
No, we're just going to put him with the astronauts.
It wouldn't be that. But no, what are they going to do? Put him with the people he's trying to rescue.
Yep. Oh, and then all of a sudden, Keop's there.
Yeah. He randomly
and I was just, Keop, get the cassette. What? Keop grabs the cassette and then things start blowing up.
Yeah.
But nothing, they didn't do anything.
It's not something you really notice when you're watching it, and then you think back and like, actually, why did that blow up?
I've watched this more than once because I had to go back through it a couple of times for various reasons. Yeah, and it's just, they're there, he's captured, and then Keop's there, and then shit starts to blow up, and they escape. Without the astronauts. No astronauts. Dead astronauts.
Yes.
It was...
They're murdered at the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
Yeah, because I even wrote in my notes, it feels like they're skipping bits, and they were. Because it was just like, Bosch, now this is a... Wait, what? Did I blink?
There must have been something that they could have put in that would have made it a bit more coherent.
Like I said, I enjoyed this, but I don't. Perhaps the fact that it is so weird and so disjointed, I think that may have actually contributed to my enjoyment somewhat.
Maybe it's a bit strange. I'd also like to talk about the bad guy's plan real briefly.
Hang on, we need to do funniest plan.
Yeah, plan. Because basically, so they've got a cassette. This astronauts, they went to Mars and scanned for the enemy's bases.
They were
looking around.
They weren't looking for the enemy's bases.
Well, they found.
They were doing a survey, something. Yeah.
Yeah. And they found alien bases.
Lots of them.
So they were gonna, bring them back to report them. But then, like, they go missing, and Zark 7's like, oh, well, these aliens have these secret bases on Mars. They must be wanting to stop that information from spreading. But how do you already know it's Zark 7?
I've just thought of something.
You're a robot.
Yeah, I've just thought of something. They've got a spaceship that can travel millions of miles in a day.
Yeah.
If this information is so vital, why is it on a cassette? Why haven't you just beamed it directly to someone?
But they wanted to get the information so that... I thought they wanted to get the information so that their plans weren't uncovered.
Yeah, that's
because it was their bases.
Yep.
So, but Zark 7 already knows about it. He already knows all the bases and stuff.
No. You don't need G-Force.
Why?
You don't need it. You just need Zark 7. He knows everything. He can do everything. Just use the robot. Yeah, and apparently a bit of a robot player.
Yeah. Robot dweeb.
So the main spaceship that they use is called the Phoenix, and I think that's a bit of a hint as to what it does. It literally bursts into flames, which seemed a bit unnecessary in this episode. Not entirely sure. So when they escape, the bad guy sends one of the big goon. He says, "Right, go get them back. Don't fail me again." Starscream. Take one of the Zoltar. Yeah, take one of the spaceships. So he takes one of the spaceships, and then they play chicken. They start flying towards each other. Which shoot them. You've got a modern Warcraft there. Shoot them. But they keep. It's almost like the Austin Powers joke, because they're like, okay, we're going to cut to the bad guy spaceship. Okay, then we're going to cut to the Phoenix. We're going to cut back to the bad guy, and it's the same scene each time. Here they come. They're going to go, and then G-Force go, okay, we're going to go for the Phoenix, and it turns into this Phoenix, and the other one blows up.
Yeah, it just goes through it.
Yeah, it just blows up, and then you cut back to the thing, cut back to the bridge of the Phoenix, and they're all laying on the floor. What just happened?
But Mark stands up.
Yeah, Mark. Yes.
Help me get up.
No, he stands there, and then Princess. I'm going to put a screenshot of Princess's face, because she kind of stands up and she looks at him and she bats her eyelids and she goes, "Oh," big smile at him, and he kind of looks at her and winks. He's like, "What are you doing?"
Help open up, or any of your team members.
Oh, and then Seven Sark 7 goes into this really random bit at the end about friendship.
Yeah. Apparently they had an argument somewhere.
What?
I mean, he irritated Keop a little bit, but like that's normal when you're in a working environment with people.
Yeah, they've learned the treasure of friendship. Did they? What? Because Tiny was just in the playing taxi. Jason was snarking off in the corner. Princess just was like, "Oh," over Mark every 5 minutes, and Keop was just being told what to do. When did they learn? That was one of those, right, we need an educational thing. Let's find its throat to just ram this down there. It's make a damn bit of sense, but we're going to run with it anyway.
Loosest thing.
It was bad.
But also, I just want to briefly touch on the music of when they were flying in the spaceship, because it was literally just bongos and a flute and a flute.
Some of the I tell you that if you took a snippet from every song that was in this episode and put them all together, it'd be like a journey around the world. And they're so different. But
there's bongos as well.
It was I started listening for it. It was actively making me laugh every day. Oh, we got bongos now. no, we're in the disco. We're fun to the. It's fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I think I may have enjoyed this show for the wrong reasons. And then the last 2 minutes, Seven Zark 7 does his friendship is good thing. And then we get, I think it was about 2 minutes of just ships flying around.
Yeah.
And no one's talking, no one's doing anything. It's just, here's a picture of the Phoenix flying to the moon. It doesn't make any sense. We've got 2 minutes left. Seriously, take some of the story you've cut out and put it back in there. There's a bit about halfway through where the Phoenix has to go underwater to look for this base, and they run into a underwater volcano, as you do. And then there's this whole dramatic thing, and then again, Mark says, "I want full turbojets. I want full turbojets." And about him. And then they escape from the turbulence, everything, and then they go back in and find the base.
They do like a fake ending, because Tiny's like, G-Force does it again, and it's like, wait, no, we got to go back.
No, you didn't do anything. You drove out of the water. It's so dumb. It kind of makes you wonder, what did they cut out? If they thought that this stuff needs to stay in, what the hell did they cut out? What crap was left on the floor?
I already mentioned it, but I started watching The Boys, and it.
It's a good show.
I want a Battle of the Planets version of it, where they're all just yeah, and they're not doing anything. They're all just like massively capitalist and just trying to.
So I tell you what, here you go. So a couple of weeks ago, we did a watch-along episode of Brave Star. Okay, so Brave Star and 3030 versus G-Force.
All of G-Force?
Yeah, go on. We'll go for, not 7 Zark 7.
They have the ship as well, because
no, they don't have the ship, and 7 Zark 7 not helping them.
Okay, based on this episode,
yeah,
Brave Star all the way. And like
3030 would kick their he would shoot them.
You're like Mark going, and then transfer.
Oh no, they've shot Keop. See that?
Over.
Oh, I want to see that now.
Fantastic. I love this.
Um,
It's fantastic like that.
they did. They started making a TV movie called Battle of the Planets, the movie, because that's what you named things in the early 80s.
People call the show the movie.
Yep.
As well.
It was by a company called Gallery International Films and Sandy Frank Film Syndication, the chap that brought it to the States. It was combined from... See, they didn't even do anything new. It was combined from several episodes to form a new story. So they chopped up a bunch of episodes to make a new story, which contained violence. It actually contained violence and deaths, and it was going to be a lot more adult, a lot more as it was supposed to be. It was considered for an uncut remake of the battle, but then it scrapped. It was scrapped when Sandy Frank began focusing his efforts on arranging an uncut dub, so the original just dubbed into English, of Gatchaman for release in the US.
I mean,
okay. Sandy Frank, Mr. Frank, just seems to be a bit all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if that movie survives anywhere.
Very probably. I'd be surprised if it doesn't.
But, like, why not just make one? Make one.
Just do it properly. Do you think this would work today? If they redid it, if someone animation house got hold of this, kind of mimicked the style that they had, got some really funky music in there, but did it proper gritty, do you think it would work?
They'd have to put a bit more emphasis on lessons, I think. But I reckon it would thrive. Like if they redid it, made it 3D animated.
I don't know if I'd prefer it 3D animated or traditional 2D.
I don't know.
The temptation would be go to 3D, but
yeah, but it would be creepy and weird.
Creepy and weirder.
Make them like robot versions of birds.
Why birds?
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Why? But it was never really explained. That's true. I never knew where they got their powers from. They just have them.
Isn't it? Aren't they aliens?
No, they're defending the Earth from aliens from beyond space. Because you know what's beyond space? Bad guys? More space? I don't know.
Multiple races that are human.
I mean, it's a bit... I mean, does everyone in the galaxy want to kill us? I mean, I don't blame them. But there was a comic book. It was released in comic book form, originally by Gold Key Comics, but was later revamped by Top Cow Productions. Among the Top Cow version was things like Battle of the Planets Princess, which was written by a chap called David Wohl with art by Wilson Tortosa, and that was released in 2002. So it's still around. It's still alive in some form or another. A comic strip ran in the British magazine TV Comic. TV Comic also reprinted some of the Gold Key stories for some of the holiday specials. There was also a Battle of the Planets annual. Do you remember annuals? Do they still do those?
Yes, I think so.
Thomas the Tank Engine annual, and I remember having He-Man annuals when I was young.
Yeah, Ninja Turtle would be best.
Don't get me started.
Proper ones.
The original, they weren't annuals. The originals, Ninja Turtles. No, I'm not doing it. We're going to do Ninja Turtles, and that's going to be an emotional episode for me. I'm not getting into it now.
Yeah.
The Phoenix, it turned into a flaming bird craft, but it also had a missile system, TBX missiles, a solar-powered energy blaster, because that's right. Yeah. Although get this, the team often had the misfortune of choosing very cloudy days to use it. It seems like a design flaw to me. You know, maybe put some batteries, a couple £100. You could get some decent batteries, just store up some energy.
Surely, if it's solar powered, they literally they're harnessing it directly.
Directly,
they're not even, storing the solar power.
Can't go behind a mountain. Can't fly behind a mountain.
Solar power works.
Yeah.
Something tells me they hadn't quite figured that out. The writing team hadn't figured it out in the 70s.
Do you know what? I bet that was it was something that was in the original show, and it wasn't explained. It was solar powered, and then they just kind of they had these scenes, and they just kind of inserted them into there. Oh, we need a reason for them to not work. It uses the sun. Maybe it could be cloudy. Yeah, whatever. That'll do. There's some starlings. There's some starlings in the way. It's not working.
Some bugs on the windshield, yeah, on the solar panel windshield.
Yeah,
but if they have weapons, do they ever use them?
No. Well, they must do. They wouldn't. They must have been in at least one episode.
Although, when your ship can turn into what's the point? Why is it never always a flaming bird? Unless that throws the crew out of whack.
Turns it into a giant blowtorch that just melts through everything, or just causes them to explode, as happened in this episode. In 1986, there was a video game of the same name published by Microgen Limited for various home computer systems, including the usual suspects: Amstrad CPC, the Commodore 64, and the ZX Spectrum. I know nothing about this, and I apologise. I meant to look it up before the show, but I'll tell you what, I will look it up, and I will put some screenshots on our Instagram account so you can see what it looked like. I'm curious. It's one of those things I'd quite like to go and see if I can find an emulator and play. Just because it's Battle of the Planets. And in 1979, a Battle of the Planets board game was released. I bet that's a collector's item now. Where as a player, you had to be the first to capture 3 monsters and return to Earth.
Monsters?
Yeah. That doesn't... I don't remember there being monsters.
Okay, sure.
So would you recommend Battle of the Planets? Would you recommend this to... I've got 2 questions here. Would you recommend it to someone with kids? Yep, go watch the show. You'll love it.
Someone with kids. Maybe. It'd be easy enough for them to follow along to. I feel like if they read it.
No. I'm an adult and I couldn't follow along.
With a child, you kind of skip to conclusion with things. So they're not really going to be watching it as intently as we were.
I suppose.
I feel.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
They're not catching every detail. They'll be like, they don't care if they don't see the astronauts survive or the.
Do you think
they've said they? So
do you think Seven's Arc 7 would be annoying to children as we have found it?
Depending on the age. I'd say, past maybe 8, yes.
I'd be quite interested. I'm going to see if I can find some. I'm going to find some children to show this to. All right. Would you recommend this to your friends? You're sat around on a Saturday evening. You're bored. You're all drunk. I know. Let's watch some of these.
I would put it on if we were just chilling in the small room with a TV, which we have in my house. I would put it on, or we're chilling out and we're talking about this weird kids shows, and I wasn't doing serial viewing. I would put it on, and they'd go, "What the hell?" I don't know if we'd watch the whole thing, but I don't know if I'd recommend it for other people to watch randomly. If they were into anime, I'd say maybe go watch Gatchaman.
Yeah.
Because that might be something they'd be interested in. But other than that, probably not.
So, did you enjoy it?
It was alright.
It was alright. I did.
It was kind of underwhelming because you've kind of built Battle of the Planets up as this amazing show that you used to watch all the time. You used to put the theme song on. It would be but I had no idea what it was about, and then I watched it, and I like I say, I thought it was going to be this huge spaceships in space, Babylon 5 style space battles with huge explosions and Gallagher and stuff colors, which would be awesome. No. And it was about 5 bird teenagers and a rotating robot.
You get tiny turtles and a horny robot.
Yeah.
Oh, and dead astronauts. I'm not going to let that go. Not going to let that go. So, give it marks out of 10. Rate this for me.
I was underwhelmed. Got to be honest.
Okay.
but it wasn't. It's similar experience to Terrorhawks for me.
I found Terrorhawks much more scarring than this.
Terrorhawks far stranger than this, but I think that might have been to do with the fact that it was puppets.
Yeah, that's Uncanny Valley.
Very scary as well. But marks out of 10, I'd give it probably 6.5.
A 6.5. Well, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
That's
it wasn't terrible. And I did enjoy watching it for the most part. It reminded me a bit of the Transformers because that's kind of the similar vein that they did. So I got a bit nostalgic for that. And the music was interesting. The theme song's pretty cool. I give it a 6.5. Actually, I'm going to give it a 6. Change my mind.
A 6. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Because I was thinking if I'd go back and watch Gatchaman, it'd be a lot higher, but I don't know how high I'd rate that.
Well, when I first started thinking about it, I mean, I did enjoy it, but I think I enjoyed it for the wrong reasons, which isn't the first time that's happened. But I did, and I gave it a 6, and then I had to think about the music. Really, as weird as it was, it added a lot for me. So I gave it another point. So it's a 7 from me. So if you give it a 6, that gives it a 6.5, which is it's okay.
If you rated it how you've described it throughout it's just, yeah, I'd imagine you'd rate it a lot higher.
Yeah, but the word
goggles kind of apart.
I think every time I've described it, though, I have always followed it up or qualified it with it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make a lick of sense. But people my generation, people my age, will remember this fondly, and I enjoyed it, and I would happily watch another one. So that gives it a 6.5, which puts it in the middle of the pack, really, from the other shows that we've watched.
Fairly average.
But go watch it. It's worth it. It's worth it, even if you only ever watch one.
Just watch the one, and then do the job, because I imagine they're all fairly similar.
So next weekend, the behind the scenes YouTube video, you can watch me pull silly faces and wave my arms around and punch my microphone, which I have done several times during this episode. You watch Jeremy look at the darling face he's pulling right now. So check us out. It's just the Serial Viewing channel on YouTube. That goes up every other week, the opposite week to the week that the podcast comes out. Next episode, we are watching a show that I wouldn't say I remember fondly, but one that was a big part of my young life. It's a show called Henry's Cat. Can you imagine why I would know about this show?
British is British.
Oh, my... Yes. Yes. Anyway, so Henry's Cat, it's on YouTube. Go check it out. If you haven't watched Battle of the Planets before, where have you lived? What planet have you been on? Go watch it. It's worth it just to see what the hell we've been talking about. If you'd like to send us a message, we say this every time, but you can get us directly at serialviewing@gmail.com. You can go to our website, serialviewing.com. There is a contact form on there. And if you're feeling especially brave and want to get your voice on the show, you can leave us a voicemail. There is a voicemail feature on there that I will listen to and put on the show if you make me laugh. To be honest. We've also got an Instagram account. We post things up there throughout the week, little things that we've spoken about, screenshots, other bits of trivia. So please check that out. Just look for Serial Viewing everywhere you can. We're on all kinds of listening platforms. We just got onto Amazon Music.
Hashtag Serial Viewing.
Hashtag Serial Viewing. Absolutely. We also release our playing cards. Back of the box cards. You can find them on the back of the box section on our website. Also, we release the show notes every other week. So if you want to see the raw as we were watching it experience, as we wrote down, taken out of context, they're hilarious. So go check that out as well. So thank you, Jez.
Yeah. Also, the first edition of the trading cards, we're about halfway through them.
We are. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because this is episode...
like second edition.
Episode 6.
We're going to do editions. I've decided that now.
So, catch us 2 weeks. Thank you very much for listening. I've been Jeremy, and he's been
January.
Bye. Say goodbye, Jeremy.
Brr, brr, brr.
And we're clear. That is so 70s. That music is unbelievable. It's fantastic.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I love it. And I completely forgot. I've just noticed a piece of trivia that I didn't say. And I don't know if you... Did you notice when the underwater volcano was blowing up, there was a piece of live action footage?
Yes, I thought it. I wasn't too sure
Yeah.
if it was actually live action, but I didn't yet. So why?
I don't know. They
Shoot.
But I mean, it had a so on. If you could watch this on YouTube, you can see. Well, you must be because we've stopped recording. Along this bit of the camera on the screen, that was all animated. That was regular cell shaded animation, and then there was like a blue tint over the screen, and there was volcanic clouds coming up. But it was actual footage of volcanic clouds. Well, in the first episode, there's a plume of smoke that erupts from the Turtle King. Perhaps that's where the turtle comes from, because the first episode is called the Turtle. Anyway, there's a plume of smoke that erupts from the Turtle King, and it was real smoke. It was real smoke cut in exactly the same way. They took it out because they thought it would be too confusing to see real smoke in an animated show.
Right, but they left it in this one.
But it was only there for like 2 seconds. I did the first couple of times I watched this, I didn't see it. It was only this last viewing. I was like, whoa, what was that?
Mm-hmm. Real smoke is smoke itself is difficult to animate.
Yes, yeah. Although that's one of the things I liked about what first got me into Japanese animation is the way they do smoke and explosions. They just look cool.
You're a fan of Akira. So.
Akira is my favourite anime of all time. I love Akira. I need to watch that again. Cool. It's been a while since I watched that. I need to watch that again. I watched the opening scene where they're riding through the city several times. Oh yeah.
Yes. I've started watching some anime again, trying to get a little bit back into it.
I struggle watching anime because most of them they over emote.
Oh yeah.
And like, I must get this door open. I must get this door open and go get my paper.
It's more about the cringe-worthy stuff that's more apparent in modern anime stuff. I want to watch more like critically acclaimed ones and stuff from older animes, like you said, from the 70s and 80s. Like my favorite anime by far is Cowboy Bebop, which is from the 90s. It came out the same year I was born, which is ironic.
It's things like the Studio Ghibli stuff is gorgeous. I don't like the stories.
Anime's so varied, that's the thing.
Yeah, but I get bored of the stories because I want giant robots and explosions and shit like that. But those...
You don't want overacting.
Yeah, but those are really overacting. Like, if I could have some of the Studio Ghibli sensibilities of, like, just tone it down a little bit.
Have you seen Howl's Moving Castle?
No. Oh, have I?
That'd probably be the one closest to that you'd enjoy.
I think I started watching it and then got disturbed and then have never not disturbed by the show. I didn't get disturbed by the movie. I just got interrupted.
I've never watched Spirited Away.
I've seen Spirited Away. I've sat through most of it.
I know the story of it. And, I've seen everything about it. But I've never watched it. I've watched Howl's Moving Castle and Kiki's Delivery Service.
Somebody recommended Kiki's Delivery Service to me.
I don't think you'd like it.
No?
No, it's the main character will probably irritate you.
I do like...
it's a good anime, but I don't...
Oh, Ghost in the Shell.
Yes.
I like those animes.
That's cool.
They're cool.
I've not watched that.
It's explosions and stuff like that. It's great.
I really want to watch the Animatrix because I remember not being allowed to watch that when I was younger.
There's some dark. It's
And I
there's a
still
couple
haven't gone back and watched
there's a couple of bits in there that, as an adult, disturbed me ever so slightly. I mean, it is fantastic. It is really good. Excellent piece of animation. It's a good story. It's a wonderful interstitial between the movies. I mean, or a backup to the movies because it's giving you history.
world building.
Yeah.
I also really, we're going on a tangent, but I really love the, which is why I want to watch Animatrix as well. So.
You like what, sir?
Halo Legends, the one where it's basically
the explosions in that one. I liked that. Yeah. That was good.
There's the one where he's fighting and there's a huge battle and it's
but
basically
that's another one of those it's 3D.
Not all of them. Some of them are.
Well, yeah, right. Some of them are, but it's 3D.
Well, one of
some. I think that I don't know. I prefer 2D cell animation.
Oh, as anime goes, yeah.
Anime, yeah. I mean,
I'm
not averse to 3D. I'm not having anything against it. It's just I prefer.
But there is Halo Legends. There's a gorgeous one which is completely done in oil painting, I think, or watercolors, or whatever it is. It's the one where it's about the elite.
Don't remember that.
And no,
I guarantee. Well, vaguely, I have seen it. I know I've seen it. I don't really remember it though.
That one's really cool. It's like based on like Japanese culture.
So we need to do our cards. We need to do the ratings for the back of the box card. YouTube, go check those out. They're awesome.
Yes, if you haven't fallen asleep from that anime talk.
I spend time on those. Right, so the theme tune. And the theme tune. Should we incorporate the music into that as well? The score?
We haven't rated it, so I guess so.
Yeah, go on
then. Now, you have the theme song, but you also have the rest of them.
That's what I said. Should we include it, or should we just? We usually just go on the theme tune, not the score.
Yeah, true. If it's just the theme tune, then I give it a solid 8. It's pretty good.
8 out of 50.
Oh yeah, it's out of 50. A solid 42.
42.
Yeah,
that's one. That's one higher than I gave it. Because I really like it. It's a great tune. It's exciting. It's dynamic. It's memorable.
Do you have Trapdoor up, like to view?
I don't. I don't. I couldn't tell you what it is right now.
I'll look. Yeah, so you gave it 41.
Yeah. So total of 83 for the theme tune, which is high. That is high. Are you going to Are you going to serialviewing.com, Jeremy?
I am going to serialviewing.com to view the lovely cards
in the back of the box section.
The back. Weirdly enough, our YouTube video came up before the website.
So while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about the educational content and my rating for it. 7's Arc 7 can suck one. It was really badly done. It was not only was it. I mean, all of these things are usually forced in anyway, because of there's a requirement, or there was a requirement in the States that there had to be an educational content to the things. But this just didn't make any sense. He just literally made up the conflict between people and started talking. The only reason I've given him the points that I've given him is because the educational part exists.
You're not going to believe this.
What?
We just rated it higher than Trapdoor.
Oh, well, it stands. It's 83 now. I'm not changing it.
One higher. It is good.
But is it better than Trapdoor? Has time and distance.
I tied them. Can I go to 41 instead?
No, too late. No, I'm taking it. Final answer, 83.
Although I think it will be its impact.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So for those reasons, I've given it 7 points for education. I've taken points away because it was so fucking stupid.
No, I'm not going to be that harsh because I don't.
You're nicer than me,
like. No, that's fair. Let's see, educational value. They tried a little bit, although it was really disjointed. didn't really make a lot of sense. They were teaching me about robot love.
We don't need to
I'm
know
gonna give
that.
it a 16.
16. So that gives it a 23, which seems about par for the course, to be honest, for educational value, because we've never really hit anything.
No.
Weirdness. It's your turn to go first on this one.
Weirdness. Okay. It was, again, it wasn't really terribly weird. It just really didn't make a lot of sense. Again, there's robot love. So I'm gonna give weirdness a bit less than middle of the road, I think, because it's not terribly weird apart from just why they're all birds. So I'm gonna give it 23. What?
That's what I've given it. Yeah, that's exactly for the same reason. It's weird because it doesn't make any sense. Its subject matter isn't weird. There's nothing particularly weird about the show. It's just they've chopped huge chunks out of it, and it doesn't. It's really disjointed. And Seven doesn't. He's a bit weird. The robot love, as you said. So yeah,
robot.
So that's a 46 for weirdness. Impact. Now, I have a number written down in front of me, which I'm re-evaluating somewhat.
How is it? Too high or too low?
It's too high, and I'll tell you why. So the number I have just rewritten, but the number I originally had was 26.
Okay.
Which I think is too high because although I remember it and I remember it well, it's not. How can I put it? It's not influential. It's not everywhere. There's many people in this world who. Do you remember Battle of the Planets? And it's just kind of there. I enjoyed it when I was younger. I was excited to watch it again. I enjoyed it now, but as for its impact, no. So I've reevaluated from 26 down to 19.
Okay. But this also affects you, like how much of an impact it had on you.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you have mentioned it a lot.
That's why it's got 19 and not 10.
Given that I've never seen it before, and no, I haven't really seen a lot of it, so it wouldn't really be fair for me to view it in that regard. But I view it as the fact that you've told me about it so much. Battle of the Planets, whenever we do that, whenever we've done what inspired serial viewing, which is look at old theme tunes.
Yep.
You've always sort of Battle of the Planets has always come up, and you're like, "Oh my god, Battle of the Planets!
We've got to do that one." To be honest, this show was made for. So Battle of the Planets was made for this show.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Well,
this show was made again.
Yeah.
So, I'd say it's influenced our show at least.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give 25.
25. That seems perfectly fair.
Like you say, it's not really influential, but it has. Who knows? It may have influenced something like Terrorhawks.
So, of the 4 ratings, the music has run away with it. It's really, really middle of the road, apart from what I think is the highest score we've given to a theme tune somehow. I'm not quite sure how. I'm quite sure how that happened.
Yeah. But it is really good. Like, it's iconic. Like, you're just like dun, 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 despite the fact it's a Star Wars ripoff.
It really is. It was designed to be so. They were trying to drag in that Star Wars crowd. Okay, so next time we are watching Henry's Cat. When I was growing up, people asked me, "Where's your cat? Are you Henry's cat?" I had a Henry's Cat teddy bear, thing. So check it out. Henry's Cat.
Big little yellow cat.
Little yellow cat. Very. It's showing its age. I'm not gonna say anymore, but it's showing its age.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for waiting for my teeth to fall out. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you watching all the way to the end of the YouTube video. Anything else, Jay?
No, go check out the cards. Although, to be fair, you've got any feedback for any information you want to know when we post on social media, such as updates about serial viewing, or specifically to the episode, say you want to know about the games, or you're more interested in like trivia stuff that we could cover, post. If you have any suggestions,
Absolutely. Even if it's an item for the show that we could do each episode.
yeah,
Let us know.
any suggestions at all, we're open to it.
We're happy to share.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thank you very much, guys, and we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye bye.